CLEP, a Clinical Epigenetics International Conference. There were 500 people there, was sold out. There were 20 professors, 480 researchers between 20 and 40 and me. So some of the things I learned, histones and chromatin can affect the way the genes act, and most of the medications that are going to be coming out in the next 10 years will be affecting histones and chromatin. Inflammation is a dirty word. The more inflammation, the more DNA methylation, which is not good for your cells. Childhood adversity, if you're premature, if you don't have enough food to eat when you're growing up, it affects you for the rest of your life. Cancer dormancy, this is very scary. Apparently, when you think you've cured your cancer and it's in remission, there are multiple cancer cells still hanging around, just decided to go to sleep. Like in breast cancer, 5, 10, 15 years later, they all of a sudden wake up. So if we can find these cells, maybe we can do something about it. And liquid biopsies is the future of cancer surveillance. The idea that we want to wait for symptoms or seeing something on a scan is really outdated. We need to see a few cancer cells in the bloodstream very early on. The FDA has just approved a test for bladder cancer cells. And the idea is if you have bladder cancer, you need a cystoscopy every 6 months for 2 years and every year, which is not a lot of fun. And what this company says is just test your blood. And as long as there's no cancer cells in your blood, you don't need to get cystoscopies. So the real reason I went to the convention was to hear what Dr. Stephen Horvath had to say. Dr. Horvath works at Altos, which is in Silicon Valley. This is one of the companies that Zuckerberg and Bezos gave billions of dollars to find the fountain of youth. And he's developed what's called GrimAge, which measures DNA methylation, inflammation, whether your red cells have nuclei or not, and can give you a health span and a lifespan. So this is the life course clock that's going to change the way we practice medicine. It can tell you how long you're going to live. And basically, if you're 50 years old, it can tell you your cells are 40 years old or your cells are 60 years old. Not only that, if you're 50 years old, it can tell you your heart, your lungs, your kidney, and your brain are 40 years old, but your liver is 65 years old. So you know which organ is not doing well. What accelerates your age and is bad for you, how old your mother was when she had you, smoking, race, preterm birth, time to death. So actually, they're starting to tell you how long you're going to live. So the 3 worst things for early death are smoking, fatty liver, and visceral fat. Dr. Asmus, where are you? What comes to your mind?
Visceral fat.
And fatty liver.
Visceral fat.
And what are we going to do about that?
The prevention of visceral fat is going to be the most important thing to tackle for making people healthier.
And those are the Ozempic drugs. So how do you do a study to see how long somebody's going to live? I mean, you need 50 million people. You need to give 25 million people a drug, 25 million people nothing, and watch them for 50 years. You just can't do that. So the question is, can these clocks serve as a surrogate endpoint for clinical trials? So you give somebody a drug and you measure their methylation that says their cells are 50 years old. And if in 6 months in a year, their cells are now 40 years old, you can probably say this is something good. So Eric Topol, epigenetic clocks like Horvath reveal biological age varies up to 20 years from your chronologic age. The discovery of methylation patterns as aging biomarkers revolutionize our understanding. So this is a novel called The Measure, which you should read. One morning, everybody in the world wakes up and next to them is a small box, whether they're in a bed, whether they're in a sleeping bag, whether they're on the floor. In the box is a string. The longer the string, the longer you live. And pretty soon people figure out exactly how short or long the string is, whether they have 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Now, the joke is, the guy says to the other guy, I want to know exactly where and when I'm going to die. And the other guy goes, why? And the first guy goes, well, then I won't be there. But This book, two things. Number one, do you open the box and find out how long you're gonna live? And number two, when you find out you're a short stringer or a long stringer, how does it change your life? So it's a really fascinating novel.